Pinocchio by Carlo Collodi.
Dante Alighieri, Umberto Eco. Oggi parleremo di libri e autori italiani. Ciao e benvenuti a LIS Learn Italian Songs, Learn Italian with Songs.
Yes, this is a channel in which we learn Italian through the translation of famous or less famous Italian songs.
But today we are going to talk about Italian books and authors. I had to narrow it down to 10 books/authors, so someone is going to be disappointed for sure.
Ma come ha lasciato fuori Gabriele D'Annunzio?
Non ha neanche nominato Antonio Tabucchi.
Things like that. I tried to make a mix between the most famous authors and books that I found online on internet sites written in English. So I tried to understand
what the English-speaking world
knows and wants to know about Italian literature and what I think are the most famous
Or infamous.
Italian books and authors. So it's a mix between most loved books by English-speaking, most hated authors by Italian students, and some
or actually many
honorable mentions. So let's get right into it. Now I thought that the first author to mention would be Dante Alighieri, but instead on most internet sites written in English I found that the first author mentioned was Umberto Eco, and so here is how to pronounce his name: Umberto Eco. And the most famous book by Umberto Eco probably is Il nome della rosa. Il nome della rosa,
which was
also a famous movie starring Sean Connery and the other. He was very young, can't remember his name, but you know who I'm talking about. Umberto Eco, Il nome della rosa was the first name on many of the lists. Second book, and we're not talking about Dante
Yet.
is Le avventure di Pinocchio by Carlo Collodi. No, it's not Pinocchio or Pinocchio or Pinocchio. No, it's Pinocchio. The Adventures of Le avventure di Pinocchio. Pinocchio, say it with me, Pinocchio by Carlo Collodi. Finally, we get to Dante, not Dante, but Dante Alighieri, and his most famous work, of course, is La Divina Commedia. La Divina Commedia, the Divine Comedy.
It used to be called Commedia with just one M and the accent on another syllable. Don't worry about that.
99% of Italian will call it La Divina Commedia, which is divided in many parts, but the broader and most famous division is the 3-section division in Inferno, Purgatorio, Paradiso. Now let's move on to the next series, and of course we could not leave out Niccolò Machiavelli with Il Principe. There's also an adjective,
Machiavellian.
So Niccolò Machiavelli, say it with me, Niccolò Machiavelli, Il Principe, the prince, Niccolò Machiavelli, Il Principe. Then we have a more modern author, and it's Primo Levi. It's not Levi, not like the jeans. In Italian it's pronounced Levi, and it's Primo Levi. Probably his most famous book is Se questo è un uomo. Se questo è un uomo. If this is a man, often pronounced Se questo è un uomo. We tend to shrink and or unite the last few words. Se questo è un uomo. And then one of the most hated books and authors by high school Italian students is Alessandro Manzoni. Alessandro Manzoni, say it with me, Alessandro Manzoni, and his most famous and hated book is I Promessi Sposi. Is it the betrothed? Betrothed, what's the correct pronunciation?
Cerco, ma no. Yeah, the betrothed.
I mean the two young fiancés or the married couple to be. The Betrothed. I Promessi Sposi by Alessandro Manzoni. And let's move to a more modern guy, a guy who is from my area more or less, and it's Italo Svevo. Italo Svevo.
Not many people know that his real name was Ettore Schmitz, but he changed it in Italo Svevo.
And probably his most famous book was La coscienza di Zeno.
And it still is.
La coscienza di Zeno. La coscienza di Zeno by Italo Svevo, who used to be buddy with James Joyce. And I said
James Joyce.
Back in the city of Trieste, check it out. Next we have Giovanni Boccaccio. It's not Giovanni, it's Giovanni.
It's not Giovanni, it's Giovanni
Boccaccio, and his most famous book, actually, think about Geoffrey Chaucer, The Canterbury Tales. It's Il Decamerone, sometimes called Decameron without the last E, sometimes called Il Decamerone. The more modern Italian sounding is Il Decamerone. Giovanni, not Giovanni. Boccaccio, not Boccaccio or Boccaccio. Let's jump just for a second to the honorable mentions. We have here Francesco Petrarca, and why do I mention him here? Because it's the holy trinity of the Italian very classic literature. It's Dante, Petrarca, Boccaccio. So keep in mind this name.
Francesco Petrarca.
Let's get to number,
I don't know what number it is.
the last one, so it must be number 10. Italo Calvino, another Italo. Se una notte d'inverno un viaggiatore. That's a beautiful long title for a book. It already gets your mind wondering what this story could be.
Se una notte di inverno un viaggiatore.
If on a winter night a traveler ... Honorable mentions, as I said, there could be 1,000, just to name a few. We have Gianni Rodari, writer of children's books. But of course, you know that good children's books are also good books for adults. Alberto Moravia, Grazia Deledda, Tiziano Terzani, Elsa Morante, Tommasi di Lampedusa with his Il Gattopardo, Elena Ferrarese, Pierpaolo Pasolini, another guy from my area, Luigi Pirandello, Ugo Foscolo, and then Oriana Fallaci, Andrea Camilleri, Alda Merini, Ludovico Ariosto, Giuseppe Ungaretti, Roberto Saviano, Umberto Saba, Torquato Ta, Susanna Tamaro, Cesare Pavese, Giovanni Verga, Giacomo Casanova, another Giacomo Leopardi, Natalia Ginsburg, Vino Buzzati, e tanto altri. And if you have any author you want to know the name of, or books that you want to know how to pronounce, just write a comment. You know I answer to all the comments, and you know what to do. Give it a thumbs up if you found this video useful. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and I'll see you on the next of LIS Learn Italian Songs. Learn Italian with Songs. Ciao.